The popularity of motorsports is growing, and a big part of that success is connected directly to a show that is very popular with the general public. And from that success, we just got a major blockbuster film. So why are hardcore racers and fans so grumpy about it all? Let's get into it. Over the years, there have been some truly transformative racing films. There's been Le Mans and Grand Prix and Days of Thunder. And there's also been an unfortunate list of not so great films that, still had their moments. On television, the pickings were even slimmer. That is until we got into the golden age of a little TV network called Speedvision. From 95 to 02 and then renamed the Speed Channel up to 05, we had a just plethora of insider information of motorsports and, how-to shows on fixing cars and trucks and boats and bikes. It was incredible. But as with all things niche, there was only so much of an audience to keep it going when you were talking about genuinely technical things. And a lot of those shows have found their home where they belong best, on YouTube, because niche things have niche audiences. Now, TV and films are extremely expensive and complicated to make. I actually make my living in film and television, mostly as an AD. For any production to happen, there has to be a really high likelihood of a return on that investment. Basically, it really has to have a good chance of making money. That means it needs to be able to bring in as big an audience as possible, which explains why the movies that have been made are the movies that have been made, mostly attached to big name actors. The actual specialty information, the kind of stuff that a really hardcore audience is going to be looking for, isn't going to be there, at least not in any sort of quantity, because a general audience is not going to understand it. It's not the place for it. You can still put that kind of information in little doses, but what really matters is the story. The story is everything. No show about motorsports has ever had the kind of cultural impact that Drive to Survive has. But if you ask around the track out in public what people think, for some reason, people just trash it. It's not realistic. They should be talking more about tech stuff, or they complain because they play with the timelines. But Drive to Survive is not a show for hardcore fans. It is an entry point for new fans. Drive to Survive is not a documentary, not in its truest form. Drive to Survive is a docudrama reality series. It has more in common with Keeping Up with the Kardashians meets NFL films than it does anything, BBC. The people who make DTS do a great job of teaching the audience information about the cars, the racing, the people, the series itself. But it's not going to ever have a chance of being this really truly in-depth technical analysis. That's not what the show is for. Like I said, what captures an audience is storytelling. And sometimes that means shuffling information around. The average viewer of Drive to Survive who gave it a chance probably didn't care about racing at all. They gave the show a chance for the same reason that they give other similar shows a chance. They heard about the lifestyle and the money and about all the celebrities that want to be a part of it, and they wanted to take a look. They may have even gone in hating racing as a concept, but once they got the chance to actually sit there and be told a story about the racing and the people in it, something changed. Instead of being a bunch of, rich jerks just driving around, hoping to get their picture taken in front of a camera next to a celebrity, instead what they found were professional athletes, people dedicated to the sport, individuals in the teams pouring everything they have into trying to give that driver the best that they have available. All of them pouring their life and soul into it, believing in the importance of what they're doing, dedicating their lives, giving up so much, sacrificing just to get another position on track, a few tenths here and there, maybe even with the backmarker teams, the chance of not being last. It means something to these people. It means everything to them, and that's compelling. What Drive to Survive does better than anybody else is show us the stakes involved. They tell us what's important, what's at stake if they fail. I mean, it's right in the name. That's addictive. But to hear talk around the paddock, pretty much anywhere around the world, nobody will say out loud anything good about the show. But if you get someone aside and talk real quiet, what you'll end up finding is the vast majority of people who have gotten into the sport in the past few years were inspired by that show. And not only did DTS give us a whole bunch of new racers, they got us a blockbuster film. Before the film F1 even came out, audiences in general were stoked. This is a massive film, big budget, Brad Pitt, this was going to be something. It made $146.3 million in its first week on a $200 million budget, and has surpassed $500 million at this point. And every single F1 reporter, blogger, YouTuber, anybody involved in the F1 media, nobody had anything good to say about it except for some of the visuals. It was a massive film with one of the world's biggest celebrities, and they had almost nothing good to say about it. The movie is a huge success. It is continuing the excitement for our sport. We should be celebrating that something like this got made. The biggest criticism that I'm hearing from a lot of people is the lack of realism in it. And what's funny is, with a straight face, they're saying that it should have been more like Grand Prix or Le Mans or Days of Thunder. And it begs the question, really? Days of Thunder realistic? I mean, Grand Prix, do you remember the romantic storyline? Le Mans, you remember the pacing? And remember, whatever your favorite show or movie or whatever it is, a critic can absolutely rip that thing apart if they really want to. And is that something that you want to experience? Is that going to make you excited? Or is that going to hurt your feelings? It's such a common thing in our sport that people almost talk about their involvement in it with embarrassment. Nobody especially wants to say that they're racing go-karts to people, because they all think that we're driving those boxes, right? It's like so many of us had that experience when we're kids, when we said we liked cars and wanted to get involved in racing, and people made fun of us. So we decided it would be easier in the future to just make fun of racing ourselves, and that way, they would laugh along with us. It's this weird childhood trauma thing that we're continuing. Well, let's stop it. Let's take pride in this sport and the things they're promoting it and making it more popular and more accepted in the world. Why are we gatekeeping people from being a part of it? Gatekeeping people telling stories about it? Like what you like. Other people don't need to like what you like or approve of what you like. As long as you're not hurting anybody, they can stuff it. When a show comes out and you like it, say so. Say the parts that you like. Celebrate those things. A film, go watch it. Support it. If it's not the greatest film in the world, so what? Hopefully, if you support it, they'll make another one and it'll be better. Because here's the thing. Why would a studio want to spend money on another film about racing when everybody within the racing community didn't want to support it? They were all gung-ho up until, it's not a perfect documentary. It was never supposed to be. It's a film. It's all about the story. And sometimes when you're telling a story, you're not going to be 100% accurate. Need I bring up Days of Thunder again? For those of us who are lucky to be around when Days of Thunder came out, we remember when all of a sudden NASCAR was everywhere. And then, in the blink of an eye, it was gone again. All that hype and support that was around it slowly disappeared, and the sport became just, a bunch of rednecks driving around in circles again. The same thing happened back when Le Mans came out, and Grand Prix as well. Drive to Survive elevated Formula One and motorsports to the point that we got a movie. Somebody dumped $200 million into a movie with Hamilton producing and Brad Pitt attached. I mean, the star power in that movie was astonishing. The amount of support that F1 gave them in the FIA was just incredible. We should be celebrating these things. If you want a true straight documentary, there's a few out there, and people will keep making them, and you've probably never heard of them because they're straight documentaries and they don't get support because general audiences don't care. But if you want to find them, they're out there, and there's a lot. But when it comes to something that's supporting racing and getting the general audience consciousness excited about it, there are very few options out there, and nobody does it better than Drive to Survive. All of the other ones actually kind of miss the point on what made Drive to Survive so successful. But you know what? They still have their redeeming qualities too. And again, the fact that they even exist is something we should be celebrating. It's easy to criticize and point out the things we don't like. But if you're willing to go out on that limb and talk about the things you do like, you might just find that there's other people excited about them too. And that's your community. That's this community. We're kart racers. At least most of us are. That's why we're here. And if a show comes out that, isn't for the hardcore fan, but is the entry point for new ones, we should be welcoming that. And we should be welcoming those people into the community. It just grows it and makes it stronger. Support your sport. Because why would anybody else? So what do you think about Drive to Survive, the F1 movie, maybe the older movies, other shows? Let me know what your favorites are down below. Maybe your favorite scenes. I'm a film guy. I love talking about this stuff. Otherwise, like, subscribe, comment, do all those wonderful things. And as always, I will see you at the racetrack.